So I'm representing this French journal as co-editor-in-chief, and I have 3 other colleagues in this role. We are an interdisciplinary team, so we do have one sociologist, Adrien Coutan, one person from the management studies, Frédéric Garcia, and my other historian colleagues, Nicolas Marty. And so we do publish 4 special issues each year. We always have guest editors and a theme for the issue, but you can also always submit articles that are not related to the special issue, and they're going to go through a normal peer review process and be, if successful, published in the journal. I just learned that in your conference tote bag you actually have a piece of paper which describes the journal, so I encourage you to have a look at it. And you have all the numbers that has been published, so 117 numbers so far. I think we are very dedicated to publish new research, especially empirical research, but we also always encourage, especially young scholars, to also deal with theories, concepts, and so that we have this public that is interdisciplinary at its core. So that's the basic idea. And although it's a French journal, we always publish articles in English as well. So in the same number, basically, hi, welcome. So basically in the same number, you're gonna have articles published in French and also other articles published in English. Another important feature is that we have the regular research articles, but we always also have a debate, which is nice because it brings together important people on the field, specialists of the theme of the special issue, and also practitioners, which is something we usually like to have in business history. We also have a section that presents new archives that might be of interest to other scholars. And we have other shorter formats that are more flexible. Hi, welcome. No problem. And so you can also write shorter pieces, so short essay, and this gives you a little bit more leeway than the usual research articles. So I think that's the basics, and I'll be happy to open up for questions later. So I've also published in many of the other journals that my colleagues will be presenting. I think we will await the presentation of the others to be able to see the difference and maybe have more targeted questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabine. Nicely done. We'll go back to the running order that we proposed anyway. So if we can go next with Walter Friedman, please, from Business History Review.
Sure. Thanks so much, Alan. Thanks for including me in this lineup. I'm really delighted to be with these colleagues. I think it shows the real wealth of the field. They're all excellent journals. I've been lucky enough to publish in several of them, and it's always been a great experience. So, you'll hear a little bit about the differences of the journals. You'll meet the editors today. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to email me. I'm sorry I'm not there. As Nick said, I'm Walter Friedman. I co-edit Business History Review with Jeff Jones. It's based at Harvard Business School. Harvard has been in the news a lot lately, as you might know. So things have been a little turbulent, but we're all good, and the journal's in really good shape. In fact, this year we'll be celebrating this year and the next 2 years, actually, we'll be celebrating our 100th anniversary, the 100th anniversary of the journal itself, and the 100th anniversary of the founding of business history at the school as a discipline, which was started in 1927. For the coming year, there's a lot of interest in publishing new research. In particular, we're planning to do some special issues around the history of business history. If you're interested in that field, please feel free to send something in. But we'll be looking at the evolution of the field. What has this sort of project been about over the past century? What have we learned? What have been the changes in methodology? What have been the big turning points? What have been the great research questions? Also looking at its present, and for those of you who dare, we'd love to hear your thoughts about where the field is going. What are the methodologies that are developing? What are the sort of new conceptualizations for the field? All of that are subjects that we'd be really interested in, as well as articles on empirical research on the history of businesses or business and society. Any of that we're of course interested in, but we have a special interest in looking at the field's past, present, and future. Again, if that's something of interest to you, we are really open to different formats and different styles and different types of writing. Obviously, research articles, literature reviews, book reviews. We've just sort of redone our contract with Cambridge University Press, and they're really encouraging us to publish more review essays. That's sort of, in the nature of 1,500 to 2,500 words on a single book or a group of books. So if you're interested in doing either book reviews or a review essay, that would be another thing to contact me about. We've also begun to experiment with sort of longer form articles, if that's something that appeals. We used to have a really strict word limit of 10,000 words, but over the past year or two, particularly as things come out online, we're a bit more flexible with that. So, we've published things that are 20,000 words or something like that. So not too many of those we can fit in a year, but if that's something that you're interested in, again, please let me know. I'm happy to correspond about potential subjects prior to your sending in a submission. We could set up a Zoom meeting or have a phone call or something like that. That's sort of where we are. I think the things that tend to work best for us and things that tend to work best through the referee process, referees always look for, is there a research question? What is the research question? What's the evidence that the author has brought together? Have they sort of exhausted the evidence that's out there? What's the contribution of this argument, of this article? What does it build on? What does it refute? And then there's some questions about the field. Does it really relate to the field? Does it fit better in another journal? If it fits better in another journal, that you might get a better audience elsewhere. But that's sort of what the referees are looking for. It's better to have a referee sort of refute your conclusions or not really like what you've decided in the end, than to try to fish around and try to figure out what was this article really about. So I would encourage you to be pretty clear in what it is you're setting out to question and to prove, and pretty clear about how you've gone about doing that. I think those types of articles, really well structured, those are the ones that get a lot out of the referee process. So again, please feel free to reach out to me with questions or about possible publications or about the journal or really anything else. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Walter. That's great. We'll move on to Andrew Popp now, please. Enterprise and Society.
Thanks, Nick, and thank you for the invitation. And like Walter, I'm very sorry that I can't join you in Brussels, a city I've never been to. In fact, I've never been to Belgium. So instead, I'm joining you from Copenhagen. So my name's Andrew Popp, and I'm a professor of history at Copenhagen Business School and editor-in-chief of Enterprise and Society, the International Journal of Business History, to give it its full title. And if Business History Review is soon to celebrate 100 years. We celebrated 25 years last year, so we're on our 26th volume now. The title is owned by a scholarly organisation, the Business History Conference, the premier professional association of business historians in the United States, or based in the United States, but very much not an exclusively US organisation anymore, very far from it, in fact. So that's a significant aspect of Enterprise and Society in a way, is that we do exist partly to serve the membership of the organisation. And Enterprise and Society is important to the organisation, not just as an outlet or a mouthpiece, if you like, but also as a source of revenue. Like Business History Review, we're also published by Cambridge University Press, and I think we have been published by Cambridge for the past 11 years, if I'm remembering correctly. We publish 4 issues a year, and at the moment we're currently, in the last couple of years, we're currently publishing around 40 research articles a year. And in comparison to the 2 journals we've heard from so far, we probably have fewer different types of formats, and we primarily publish, if you like, typical standard research articles, and we have a maximum word length of approximately 12,000 words. And we have fewer variants in terms of formats. Because we are owned by the Business History Conference, there are some regular features that come out of that relationship. So in the 4th issue of every volume, we publish the presidential address from that year's meeting of the organisation, and we also publish summaries of the dissertations that were shortlisted at that year's meeting for the Cruise Prize, Cruise Dissertation Prize in Business History. So those always appear in, or ideally always appear in the 4th issue of the year. We are, of course, double-blind peer review journal, and something that's important to mention, I think, is that a growing and now actually very, very significant percentage of work published in the journal is published open access. It's a very large majority of the work now is open access, and I suspect sometime in the not too distant future we will have become a fully open access journal. So that is something that has developed very, very rapidly in the last few years. Many scholars are now quite experienced and comfortable in navigating open access publication, but if anyone has doubts about whether or not they would be able institutionally to publish open access in Enterprise and Society or any other journal, you can always write to me to get answers to those kinds of questions, because it is still relatively unfamiliar to some of us. Unlike the other journals that we've heard from so far, we don't publish special issues. We have done in the past, but we have not done for a number of years now, before my editorship began. What we do sometimes publish on a very occasional basis are symposia or round tables of typically shorter pieces, maybe with a lead piece and then a series of comments, and they often emerge out of workshops and seminars. And I've both seen some of those through to completion as an editor, but I've also been a contributor to them. And those emerge not out of a regular call for special issue proposals, but simply by reaching out with the possibility of a symposium idea. When it comes to book reviews, we've actually had a change of policy very, very recently, in that we now don't carry individual book reviews. And as Roger has Walter has just suggested, and Cambridge are very keen on review essays for a number of reasons. And we have actually switched very recently to a policy of only publishing review essays that are longer and gather together a number of recently published and related books. Those are sometimes come about by invite, but we're always very, very welcome to hearing proposals for potential review essays. So again, this is a matter of reaching out to us. One aspect I want to highlight is that, and I know this from personal experience, Walter's incredibly open to receiving approaches about potential articles and contributions, and I am too, as well. I will always open to a discussion and even to reading abstracts and longer drafts to give authors some kind of rough and ready answer on whether or not a proposed article is a good fit for the journal or not. But over and above that, we also offer to have articles thoroughly read by one of the associate editors prior to submission. Effectively, a pre-submission round of review with a full report. That service doesn't in any way circumvent any aspect of the formal review process post-submission, but it does help get your paper, if you want to take advantage of it, into the best possible shape ahead of submission. So that's something, again, that any prospective author is very, very welcome to write to me about, and I can arrange, and it's often extremely helpful with very thorough reports generated by the associate editors. And then finally, Nick said something about my editorship being for now. Change, but he's right, change is coming. I'm in my 11th year, in the third year of my third term as editor-in-chief. We recently, or earlier this year, announced a search for a replacement. We hope to have news on that very soon. So I will be stepping down at the end of 2026. And who knows, maybe some of these policies will change. Maybe there will be exciting new developments in terms of the range of formats we publish. Maybe the reintroduction of special issues. Who knows? And I forgot one thing I want to say in terms of both period and geography. We set no boundaries on what we're interested in publishing, and something that is hard to go into detail here, but I think we at Entreprises Society operate an incredibly open, inclusive definition of what constitutes business history. And certainly I think what we publish does not look like much of what was published when I first entered the field around 30 years ago. Okay, so thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Andrew. Nice to be done. We'll be sad to see you go. I'm going to pass it over now to Adoración. Alvaro, Moya. Dory was in the airport last night and ready to come here in person, but a flight was cancelled at the last minute, but she's kindly agreed to join online. And she's going to tell us all about business history.
Yeah, so hi everyone. I'm very sorry because I cannot be there in person, but I will be by the end of the Congress. So I will be very happy to talk with you in person later in time. So I have been invited as one of the associate editors of Business History. The editors-in-chief, Christina Lubitsky and Niall Mackenzie, have not been able to attend, but there are other associate editors in the Congress. Nicholas, for instance, Nicholas Wong is also an associate editor in Business History. Abde John as well, who I know is attending the Congress, or even Paula de la Cruz, which is our community manager. So what I mean is that during these days, you will be able to meet us in the context of the Congress. So please feel free since now to ask us for more details. So Business History is an international journal concerned with how business organizations and their environment develop over time and how this influences contemporary organizations. We usually say that we are a broad chart and an interdisciplinary journal. So we are very open to interdisciplinary works and to works from other fields, but provided that research is based on business history tools and that establish a dialogue with existing works in the business history literature. We publish 4 volumes per year, and we also publish special issues. Although in the case of special issues, we have an annual public call, and the editorial team revises therefore annually these suggestions. So we publish special issues, but it is true that in some restrictive way. But anyway, if you are interested, we publish our annual calls regularly. You can also publish as open access, and we also try to communicate through social media posts or even videos what we are publishing. I don't know if you are interested in journal metrics. It depends on the country you are developing your career. In some countries, this is relevant, unfortunately. We are always very well positioned in citation metrics. We are in the top quartiles. Regarding acceptance, we have a 25% of acceptance rate, and we have on average 22 days from submission to our first petition. Okay, so we try to be very fast there. We accept mainly 3 types of contributions. First, empirical contribution, that is to show new sources, new archival sources, or types that we already know but that are used for other purposes. We are also very interested in applying new methods such as oral history or using visual or material sources. The second option is a historiographic contribution in order to build new conceptual frameworks or in order to challenge the existing one. And finally, we also welcome theoretical contributions. That is, to use historical research in order to extend theory in other fields such as economics, management, or organizational theory. Any topic, any region, any perspective is welcome. Again, provided that is deeply rooted on business history tools. So, for instance, it is true that most of the works already published are around the Western world, around the 19th, 20th centuries, but we really also welcome papers covering other regions, Latin America, Middle East, Africa, also covering the early modern period, which is in general underrepresented in business history literature. We are also very eager to receive papers based on new approaches or new methods, such as quantitative business history or the use of big data or personography, and also papers which are in the intersection of different fields. Just to give some examples, combining law and business history, or organizational studies and business history, or gender and business history, and obviously also new, relatively new topics, let's say, such as sustainability, just to introduce the theme of the Congress, or transnational history. So we are really a very interdisciplinary journal, and we are interested in business history, but as you can say, from a very broad perspective. And just in order to give to conclude some practical data, let me say that on average, in the last 2 months, on average, papers are published, since they enter into the system, definitely accepted papers, until they are published online, on average, we need 25 days, between 25 days. So again, once your paper is published, we try to put this online, and of course, remember that we are going to be around the Written Congress. You can also contact with with me by mail if you want so, in order to discuss any details or in order to discuss the sustainability, if your paper might fit to the journal. So thank you so much.
Management and organizational history.
For inviting me. I am Anders Sørensen, associate professor at Copenhagen Business School. And together with Dan Wadhwani, Professor Dan Wadhwani in California, I am the outgoing editor of the Journal Management and Organizational History, which means that we actually, I think on the webpage, my name is now officially removed, but I agreed with the ingoing editors, Ramón Barros and Gabriel Durapon, that I would present the journal and promote it to you, and we agreed that I could do it on their behalf. MOH celebrates its 25th anniversary next year. Almost as old as Enterprise and Society, founded in 2001 by Professor Michael Robinson, amongst others, with the specific aim, as I remember the editorial essay from back then, to foster or to push for a historical turn in management and organizational history, meaning that back then it was more difficult than it is today for historical research to appear in a more mainstream organizational journal, and the journal was thought of as a home for historically inspired research with historical methodologies, historical theorizing that are at the intersection between management studies, organizational studies, and history. Since then, I think historical perspectives have become more mainstream or less unnatural in a sense in organization management journals, and I think that has maybe I'm fooling myself, but I think that also has something to do with the kind of research that has been published in this journal. We accept many kinds of different papers and contributions, and we invite you to think creatively when submitting to MOH. So there's no, if you look up on the webpage, there will be no kind of elaborate overview of the kind of contributions that we accept. Obviously, full-length research papers, but the idea when Dan and I took over, that's 5 years ago, we took over as editors of the journal. The idea was that the journal should be even more open to different perspectives, different approaches, cross-disciplinary research suggestions, and even more weird stuff or experimental stuff, like essays on even ethnographic thoughts about doing history and how history can be used in management and organization studies. So if you don't find an elaborate overview of the different formats or genres that you can submit, I would strongly advise you to give Gabriel or Ramón a call, an email, and suggest that idea, because MOH may be of the journals, at least of business history and business history review, MOH is the smaller journal, I would say. But we proud ourselves, or these things think that make, at least in our heads, that makes a sort of different distance between an idea and a publication, or hopefully at least. So I think it's fair to say that if you have an idea for a contribution that could look somewhat differently that from a normal research article, then send Gabby and Alan a call, give them a call, send them an email, and suggest that idea, especially if you're a junior scholar with the wish of publishing and might not have the experience to go directly to kind of the flagship journals of business history. then management and organizational history is a very nice place to go to because there are a lot of support and developmental talks to kind of get your idea through publication. And that goes also, of course, if you have ideas for special issues, then you should have a chat or a talk with the new editors about the possibilities of compiling a special issue on any topic relating remotely to history, organization, because the idea is to be as open and inclusive as possible. Was it everything I wanted to say? Yes, I think that was pretty much all that I wanted to say. So thank you.
Thank you, Anders. Succinct as ever. Next up, we'll have Rafael Castro.
Thank you, Nick. Subito want to here in the legal journal among these historical business history reviews. It's a kind of paradox. The journal is defended by the biggest business historian ever, only in terms of height, of course. Thank you very much. My name is Rafael Castro. I am the copy editor of the Journal of Evolutionary Studies in Business. A very young journal in that because we are celebrating next year only our 10th anniversary. So let me give you some features, some practical information, probably talk about some metrics. So first of all, the JES, the Journal of Evolutionary Studies in Business, is truly multidisciplinary. Why? Because we accept all kinds of papers that deal with change and transformation in business from an evolutionary and economic perspective. So that means that papers with a wide array of fields. Business history, of course, marketing, management, and all family firms, and that also means that we are not competing with all business history reviews. We are completing them. So the second thing I would like to say is that as a young journal, we were born global. Even if the journal is based in Barcelona, our market is abroad, and we only publish in English. The third thing I want to share with you is that the JESB is not a commercial journal. We don't sell our production, and it's an independent journal. We don't have any statutory dependence of any institution, any association, or any company. Don't get me wrong, it's nothing bad to be associated, but we think that's kind of an asset for us because it gives us some freedom to follow our own editorial line. And finally, I think it's important to say that we are full online from the beginning of the journal. Sorry for those who miss print and paper. And above all, we are open access from the beginning with all the benefits that it entails for the readers and the authors, of course. So that's more or less the 4 or 5 features I would like to share with you. Let's go to some practical informations. We publish 2 issues per year with more or less 6 papers per year. We are quite fast in answering, reviewing, and publishing. Once the paper is accepted for publication, it goes to an early section view, so you have your online publication, even if the paper doesn't belong to one specific issue. We also have a podcast in which we discuss some selected paper. It's New Books Network in English and Spanish, and we also are eager to receive your proposals for special issues. More or less 40% of our issues are special issues with the thematics I said before. Let me give you some results to show off. I have to make some marketing for the journal. I think we are doing quite well, even if we are young and a little journal. For example, we had in the last 5 years 30,000 downloads per year. In the last 2 years, 40,000 reads. We have a very international audience. Half of our readers come from the United States, a quarter from developing countries, above all China, and the other quarter from Europe. We are more or less well positioned in metrics. And last but not least, I don't want you to forget that. Very good news, fresh news. Last week, the Journal of Evolutionary Studies Business was accepted in the Web of Science. So we don't know. Thank you. We don't know the index. I suppose it would be the emerging source index, but I think it's a great recognition for our work. I think it's more or less what I wanted to say. So let's go and celebrate our 10th anniversary next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rafa. Next up, we have Ken Sakai.
Okay, thank you, and thank you everyone for having me. So I'm Ken Sakai from Hitotsubashi University, Tokyo, and I'm also associate professor at Tohoku University, Sendai. And I serve as editor-in-chief of Japanese Research in Business History, or JLBH. And let me start with a bit of honesty. JLBH is a journal with over 40 years history, but a very little international visibility, I think. It has traditionally been published once a year and focused more on presenting Japanese business history to domestic Japanese audiences than engaging in global dialogue. In many ways, it reflected the mindset of 1980s Japan. Even today, JLBH remains closed. Unfortunately, it's invitation only, and authors must be members of the Japanese History Society of Japan. So, those of you familiar with Japanese business history, this might sound all too familiar. Yes, high entry barriers are real. But things are beginning to change. Thanks to Professor Rika Fujioka's leadership, unfortunately she is not here now. In the past, the journal became open access, went online, and now includes DOI registration. And this year, as a new editor-in-chief, I've started a major reform initiative to transform JLBH into a platform for serious international exchange. One of the first things we did was to replace our notoriously idiosyncratic formatting style with a standard APA. It may sound minor to you, but for us it was a symbolic, visible sign that we are opening the journal to a broader audience, academic audience. At the same time, we've clarified our editorial policy and content strategy to explicitly prioritize international dialogue. Starting in 2026, the renewed version of JLBH will feature 3 main sections. The first is a special issue, articles on topics of theoretical or global relevance. Our upcoming issue will focus on family business in business history. The second is emerging research, space for experimental early stage work. So both new methods and questions are welcome. The third is legacy in words, reflections from senior scholars on the past, present, and future of business history. Our first piece will be by Professor Yoshitaka Suzuki, a business historian, who published in the very first issue of Strategic Management Journal over 40 years ago. Now, to be clear, as of now, JLBH is not yet open to unsolicited submissions, but we hope it can already serve as a bridge, especially for those looking for potential collaborations in Japan, trying to follow developments in Japanese business history. So my vision is to gradually open up the journal. We are preparing for open submissions and removing membership restrictions, and hopefully double-blind peer review, expanding our international editorial board, moving to biannual publications, and following to JSE, and applying for Scopus indexing. And over time, we want the journal to evolve into a regional platform for East Asia. It remains just a vision, and of course, as many of you know, reforming a journal in Japan is not easy. But having a vision matters. Journals can be tools for reshaping fields, and we want to contribute to the vitality of business history from the Far East. So in the coming year, I may reach out to some of you for advice, collaboration, and or support. And if you are curious, please take a look at our latest issue, and maybe, just maybe, consider JRBH as a future home your work. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ken. And last but not least, Ramón-Muñoz from Industrial History Review.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting us, and thanks to you for being here. The last one, I hope to say, I don't know different things, but at least things that can help you to know this journal. Industrial History Review is a journal that was founded in 1992, so as the other journals were close to our birthday, 35, and close to our issue number 100. We publish 3 issues per year, okay, including special issues. Okay. So we are close to the anniversary and also the celebration of issue number 100. Okay. So the journal was born in 1992. The journal was born in 1992, but since 2021, we have a new team. We are a new team, and this new team has tried to include a wider range of topics around industrialization. That means, the factors, the consequences, the agents, the actors around the industrialization, and this is the main point we have. Okay, and we do that using or trying to bring together different perspectives, and also perspectives that include methodological diversity, quantitative and qualitative, and of course, we also are strongly connected with business history as well. And for instance, we published in 2023 this special issue, quantitative business history, special issue on business history. We have some copies here, so they are for you. Take them if you want. Okay. And we are open to a series of, open to all geographic areas. So the journal is edited by the University of Barcelona in Barcelona, but we publish on Latin America, we publish on Europe, we publish on Asia, we publish on Africa as well. So we are covering, we have a global perspective. Okay. So there are some other things that I would like to other things that I would like to mention. One is the way that we are working, or we have a strategy. This has been mentioned before as well. So when we receive a manuscript, sometimes we have to proceed with that rejection. But some manuscripts have potential. So instead of that rejection, we try to work with the author. Okay? Try to provide him her guidelines to resolve the mathematics if you are interested. Okay, so we are in quartile 1 in the most used database, that means Web of Science, and also Scopus. So we are quartile 1 in both. And in terms of process, we generally receive manuscripts, and after 15-20 days we provide an answer. So we also try to publish once the manuscript is officially accepted, to publish it as in an early view quite rapidly. So in 15 days, no more, even less. Okay? So in order to help authors to have evidence that they are working, they are publishing, the DOI, etc., etc. And from the last year, we became an open access journal as well. So we have paper copies, okay, but we are open access. And I don't know if there are other things that I could add, or perhaps more technical or practical, but we can discuss this later. Or you can send me an email, or I will be here. But more or less, this is all what I wanted to say. Okay, so thanks a lot for being here and for your attention.